Well, it was very basic, but on the whole, I liked it. I thought it was all lovely there. I really enjoyed it all. But I was different, you know. I was at school, and to me, going there with all my friends I thought it was really lovely. The house, we had rough stone floors in the kitchen. I can remember that because that was one of my jobs, scrubbing it.
Yeah, we've got that job.
And other than that, no, you would probably remember a bit more than me, but I liked it. I really thought it was all nice and bare and clean, and you know, I really liked it.
Well, we were in what they called a 5-roomed house. That was 3 bedrooms upstairs, a toilet and bathroom, and we had parlour type, and that was two rooms, and there was what we call folding doors. So, because when we first moved in there, that was lovely, plenty of room. But once Mum and Dad got settled, and there was furniture bought for what we called the parlour in those days, didn't we? Of course, that room was never used, only except for Christmas or funerals. And a very tiny kitchen that had the stove. Stove was next opposite the sink, so if your mum and dad were there, nobody else could get by. And that had the coal cellar was under the stairs. That was in the kitchen. Of course, every time the coal was delivered, everything got covered with coal dust. And there was the copper with the fire under it in the kitchen. And there was a pump above this, which pumped up into the bathroom upstairs. Sometimes it would go, sometimes you'd have to put some water into the pipe for it to pump up. And of course, if the pump went wrong, which happened very often, you carted up the buckets of water upstairs, and you had to be very careful you didn't burn yourself. And of course, there was a bath, which was absolutely smashing, wasn't it? It had a bath and an indoor toilet. That was lovely.
Conditions of tenancy. The tenants shall not drive nails or allow or lay linoleum on any wooden floor within 1 foot, keep on the premises or any part thereof any pigs, rabbits, fowls or pigeons, erect or permit to be erected any wireless aerial or make any. The tenant shall clean the windows of the premises. Garden gates should not be slammed in a careless manner. Children should be instructed not to neglect of the garden spoils the appearance of any house. It is of special importance. The tenant shall not, without the previous written permission of the council.
There was quite a set of rules which you had to abide by when you first came in. Yes, there were. But the council people always helped you out because they used to cut, you know, after the privets started to go, they always came along and cut the privets for you. Or if you were elderly or couldn't have, they would always come and help you. And the houses were always well decorated. You know what I mean? They looked after, the council looked after them, and they expected you to look after them too.
You used to get people coming around from the actual council itself, and if your garden wasn't tidy, they used to come and tell you, and they used to say get it tidied by a certain time, and you had to do it. That was your own garden. You weren't allowed to touch the privets or anything because that was done by council itself. And that was the same with your back garden. You should come round, and if your back garden wasn't tidy, you should get told about it. You weren't allowed to paint the house. You got to have their colours, which was either, your paintwork was either white, cream or brown, whichever you had a choice of that. They didn't sort of write your letters. They used to just knock at your door and say, you get your garden tidied up. And you had to do it.
When we first moved down to Downham, we had inspectors every so often to come to see if you're keeping the place clean. And people would, you know, they'd be in some road, perhaps the next road, and the word would go around, the inspectors are coming. And all the mums would, you know. But I think on the whole we were clean people.
It was a general consensus opinion of better off people that we were not really civilised, right? Don't forget we hadn't had universal education for long, so there was a great reactionary group in this country that didn't realise that people like us until the war had any talent at all, until they called us up and put us in the forces.
was 14, there was no job for me. So my father said, no job, then you don't leave school. And we had special permission for me to stay on at school until a job was found. Well, he was dead keen, my father, that we took a trade. He thought it was essential, and he wanted me to go in the print. And I then stayed on at school until a job in the print was found, because the print then was the same it is now. It was a closed shop.
Many of my friends that I chummed up with at school, their fathers were hod carriers and bricklayers, and there was a lot of it going on the estate, naturally. Tilers, a lot of work. But as the school days came to an end and we drifted to different places, a lot of us had to go up to London. I was very fortunate. I used to go into Bromley, and my first week's wages was 50p or 10 shillings. And my father advanced me the money to buy a Hercules bicycle that I could go to work on. It would have cost me on the bus tuppence, but he bought me this bike.
I think a very important thing that should be remembered, which makes some comparison to today, is the number of young lads that left school at 14, took jobs either as errand boys for shops, because you said the dads come round on the bikes delivering, or van boys, and at 16 they were out of work. They were just taken on part-time for that couple of years, and soon, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe at about 16 they become eligible then for some kind of insurance, and they were out, and it was another load. I make the comparison much like we've got the training schemes today, which put a lad in for 12 months, and yeah, it wasn't so different, except no one gave them. They had to find those jobs, but they were always there because they constantly cycled round every 2 years, because none of these firms, the van boys that used to ride on the backs of the vans delivering, the boys that used to, which I done when I first left school, rode a bike delivering around in Shortlands, and masses of small jobs like that.
Something most peculiar happened when the war started. All these youngsters that were unemployed and all these people were suddenly found that they'd got far more intelligence than the authorities had given them credit for, and they became pilots, they became officers in the Navy, the women went into the services, and some of the cream of this country came off the council estates and went into the services. And I think that was the biggest revelation to me of what it means to be a working class person.
As the roads were built up, you had them, the men came, you have a greengrocer came round with a horse and cart, and then there was the salt and vinegar man came round, and with the great blocks of salt which he cut off, and he would sell the white hearthstone, because some people still whiten their, their fires, the hearthstone, and then there was Muffin Man every Saturday, Shrimp and Winkle Man. Yes, the cat's meat man. He came twice a week, didn't he? And that was the horse flesh cut up with the. Then we had before the Downham Library was built, we had a chap came round with books, with library books, and my brother told me the other night that he also used this trike for selling hot pies in the evening. But I don't remember this, because you remember this, and he used the trike during the day for, for the books, which were tuppence a week. You borrowed them for tuppence a week.
Can you just tell me anything anyone remembers about going down to what is now Kay's?
Kay's? What, the draper's shop? Oh yes, but she didn't have the shop at first. There was somebody else that had a shop there at first.
Yeah, you always went to Kay's for your wall when you were knitting for the youngsters. In fact, I still always go to Kay's, don't I, for my wall. They were the same type of shop.
I can remember my mother buying crochet cotton from down there, because when Dad was out of work, she'd crochet little berets and things like that, take them back to the shop, and they would sell them in there.
Well, it was already Draper's before I came here, owned by two old ladies, and one was 86 and the other one was 78, and they retired, and I thought, well, I'd like to take the shop over, as I've liked shop work so much, so because I came in here and been here ever since. There was quite a lot of trade about earlier, because with the big stores opening now, it has dropped off a lot now, where we used to sell, just give out babies' clothes all day, like handbills. There's hardly anything sold in babies' things now because all the big stores have taken over, you know, like Woolworths and Boots and all that, and it's surprised now it's dropped off now. These buttons you can't get, we haven't had these buttons.
I know, it's terrible, really.
Well, you say that, you see, they say there's not no profit in them, that's why they won't do them.